Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're listening to us on Love Bay Afrobeats Music Talk Radio. You're listening to the Sports Hour with Ingle and Monali here with you this morning. There's a lot of sports happening as usual, even maybe a bit more than regular because you've got the Ryder Cup as well in golf. You've got the baseball. We're watching the Blue Jays to see how they're doing. You've got some women's rugby coming up shortly. A lot of stuff. Manali, the World Cup for the women's cricket starting in a couple of days. You must be excited about that. And CPL just finished. Asia Cup. Couldn't ask for better a better finals in Asia Cup tomorrow. So we're gonna try and cover all these things with you today and keep you up to date on what's happening. Good morning again, Manali.
Good morning, Ingle. Good to be back again. And yes, a lot of things to talk about today.
Definitely. I want to start with some baseball because you said it's the Blue Jays watching. Blue Jays just about, I think when we were on here last week, we were thinking, okay, they're cruising, but now they're tied with the Yankees. And it's like the Yankees are not giving up. Blue Jays won last night 4-2, but the Yankees also won as well. So I don't think the Yankees are backing down. The Red Sox won. The Red Sox actually beat Blue Jays in that series 2-1. The Yankees had an 8-4 win over the Orioles, so they're still tied neck and neck on in the standings. But the good thing, the two games, I guess the Blue Jays count is down to two games. But if they tie, Blue Jays have the tiebreaker because they beat the Yankees more times. So
Hmm.
that's a very good thing for the Blue Jays. And you want them to win because you want to have home field advantage throughout the series.
Yes.
And the other thing I don't understand about not just baseball, but a lot of American sports, you could finish well, but because you don't top your division, you get into a wild card playoff,
Hmm.
and that's not, to me, it's not the greatest thing because you've fought all year and one comes second or whatever, but you have to play wild card and you could be out in a couple of games. But that's how baseball is, and hey, not just baseball. A lot of American sports are that way. So that's what's happening with the baseball. So we'll keep an eye on the Blue Jays and keep an eye on the Yankees and see how they pan out. They play again today,
Hmm.
and hopefully Blue Jays can keep winning. And if they win today and the Yankees lose, then that's it. And I think one of the teams lose today, they could be in trouble.
It's always a little nerve-wracking when you know you need a win. Tie will do it, but then you're also hopeful that the opposition's going to lose too.
Yeah,
And you mentioned it, they were cruising through most of this season, and this last finish has been a bit difficult. I think it all kind of started with that big loss that they had, the 120, and then they picked
yeah,
up another loss after that. So a lot of fans are just on edge. They want to see how these next two games go. They want to see at least, you know, we're talking ties, but they want to see one more win. They want to see a loss for their closest opponents. They want to try and just feel a bit more secure because it's all up in the air right now. It's all very tight down to the wire.
it is. It's very tight down to the wire. And the Blue Jays, all the fans, as you said, they all some are not too happy, but I think they're diehard fans, so they'll be there in thick of whatever happens. They're going to be there. So Blue Jays, yeah. Even for me, I'm following it and I'm looking at it every day, to see
Yeah.
what's happening. I was out last night and I'm still checking to see what's the Blue
Yeah.
Jays score. So it's exciting times for definitely for sure. And so we'll keep an eye on watch on that Blue Jays, and we won't be able to update you before we finish, but
Mhm.
definitely next week we'll talk about what's happening. If they have to play wild card, they start on Thursday. If not, I think they start on Sunday. So we will keep an eye and see how the Blue Jays are doing there. Just to update you on soccer, not a lot happening in the games. Just one early game, Brentford over Manchester United 3-1. Last week I said Theo wouldn't be happy, but he was happy because Manchester United beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
So they beat them in that late game. But Chelsea is currently playing Brighton Hove. All these scores, the games have just started. Crystal Palace and Liverpool, Leeds United and Bournemouth, Manchester City, Burnley. And the later games are Nottingham Forest and Sunderland and Tottenham Hotspurs and Wolverhampton Wanderers. So those are the late games in the English Premier League. Uh, I'm not sure if you've been keeping an eye, as I have been, on the Ryder Cup because that's very interesting. And yesterday they had the pleasure of having the president of the USA there for this afternoon session, and of course he
We
walked out with Bryson DeChambeau,
we said that he made an appearance at tennis. Now he's at golf.
and I think he went to a Yankees game also. So
Yes, yes. I
and
will say that you and the sports hour has made me follow a lot more sports, and this I've actually had to chat GPT a full summary on Ryder Cup, the history, the breakdown,
so
how it works.
maybe you can tell us a bit about the Ryder Cup and who is leading. I know the European are the defending champions, but I can't tell you off the top how many times wins for each country. Well, not country, region, the USA and Europe, because USA is the greatest in everything, so they play against the rest of the world. Right? It won't
Yeah.
be US. Yeah.
So apparently, historical stats, all-time series through recent editions, the U.S. leads overall with 27 wins. Europe has 15 wins.
Mm. But recently, I find that Europe have been playing very good, and they look to me
Yes.
like the better squad.
Yes.
I'm looking at some of the matchups, and I'm wondering if the USA captain didn't get it wrong because I mean some of the matchups just are not strong enough to me to for them to compete. I mean you've got Colin Morikawa and Harris English playing Rory and Tommy Fleetwood who are in
Mhm.
tremendous form, and they're up. Well, the score right now is 5.5 to 2.5 after yesterday,
Yeah.
but now the morning matches are on in English, and as I said, they're down for nothing. Four up for McElroy, Xander Schauffele, and Patrick Cantley. They are also playing through one up, and I don't know if the Americans are leading in any of them,
No,
but
Europe's been pretty strong throughout most of it so far.
yeah, I watched most of yesterday in the evening session, and Europe just outplayed them. And it's sad to see the world number one player, Scotty Scheffler, he's not given a
Mhm.
point, and they're starting to compare him to Tiger, and then that's a comparison that he didn't want because Tiger's never good at match play.
Yeah.
His record at match play is not that great, so I think Scheffler shows that when you're world number one, you basically want to be in your own zone and do the things. So I think USA lead in one match. They're up three up with DeChambeau and Cam Young over Fitzpatrick and Alberg. But the other matches, I think through 12, McElroy is up. They also leading in John Ram Manhattan over Schauffele and Cantley.
Mhm.
And Scheffler, again, he's down. McIntyre and Hoffland are two up. And that's the game that you'd expect them to win with Henley and Scheffler. But as I said, Sheffield is not playing his greatest, but maybe come tomorrow when the individuals, then you might see a different Scottish Sheffield.
So why do they break it up like that between the 3 days? Maybe you could tell me, because I know they break it up like that, but what is the reasoning behind the three different formats on the 3 days?
They have the different matches that they play. The reasoning behind it, I am not 100% sure, but they definitely break it up. And I get to make it interesting because you can't just have all singles, so they make match play, they make foursomes, best ball. and they
Mhm.
just switch it up, and it makes for an exciting, I guess, golf. But I think that I prefer to see. For me, it's fun, yeah, when they're playing together. But for example, if they're playing twosomes and they're playing, one of the players are going to play the ball that he's not accustomed to.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think I just feel that it's something that's for the fans, and they probably decided this is the best way to get the fans interested. And the fans have been very engaged in New York
Yeah.
and very disappointed, I think, the fact that they're not winning.
Yeah.
And it was so. I mean, there was a sing off yesterday, basically, between the European fans and the
And the Americans.
Americans. Yeah, yeah. So this, I'm here looking. It says the why. What is the format? And it says it's foursomes, players alternate shots. How is it
Mhm.
scored? But I think it's just to make it interesting for the fans, and I don't think there. It's just like some of the sports that we play. The rules change probably as they go along. Maybe they started one way, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. Just heard some music in the background. Yes, I think I'll keep watching the Ryder Cup and keep hoping that the US win some of the matches. Not because I want the US to win. I don't have a favorite. I don't know if you do, but I just want to see an exciting Sunday afternoon of golf.
Yeah, I don't really have a side, to be honest, but I'm going to say Europe just because
As it stands
the
right now, I'm with you. I think Europe's going to win. Europe, again, the score in Europe needs to get to 14 points to retain, whereas USA have to get to 14 and a half points to win. So
Mhm.
it's a little different as to how the Ryder Cup is, but it's interesting and very interesting to see. And you see the players actually seem to be more into it when it comes to team sports. They support each other. They play. It's something so special about representing your country, I guess,
Mhm.
as opposed to just individual. Even
Yes.
if so it really brings out the best in them, and I believe that you will see some of the better. Maybe this afternoon they'll have some um, a check and see. Maybe they need Tiger to show up. Maybe just show up and see. Not just like how Donald Trump showed up yesterday. He didn't inspire them, but he showed up and he was there. He walked out on the first tee, and he had a very good reception. So it's not all.
It is in the US.
It is in the U.S. Yes. So unlike some of the things that happen in the UN, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely had a good reception. I'm sure he'll go back to it. If the US is anywhere close to winning tomorrow, I am sure the president will show up again. And the good thing about him showing up halfway through yesterday, the fans were already in the facility and they didn't have to line up and wait as if he showed up in the morning. Could you imagine the chaos if you went for the 7 o'clock start? So,
Well, I remembered when we had this conversation with the tennis as well, where he had
mhm,
showed up and, fans were lined up for hours getting in through security. So timed better this time. He's learning, he's improving.
mhm. Yesterday when I saw him there, I was wondering if he was thinking of going out to play because he looked like he was dressed. I mean,
He
he
was
was
ready,
dressed for the film,
ready
but
to
he had
tee
on
off.
his golf shoes. Yeah, he looked like he had on his golf shoes ready to tee off. So there's some talk about him presenting the trophy tomorrow. So if he is, then definitely he will be there. And I think Rory McIlroy said it'll be great for them to get the trophy from the president of the United States. So we'll see how the Ryder Cup continues and if any changes. But the body language of the U.S. team at the moment, they don't look like they're going to win anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad, but
At
that's
what
how it is.
point? At what point do we know that the U.S. is not going to be able to fight back? Is it just pretty much based on those overall points?
It's the overall, yes. So right now, as I said, it's 5.5 to 2.5. It looks like they're gonna win again 3-1 this morning because they're up in three. They probably get 3-1, so they'll go to 8.5 over to 3.5. But tomorrow's games, the singles, everybody plays, so it's gonna come down to that. So that's why they make it exciting. So if, unless Europe is, they could end up with maybe 11, 12 today.
Hmm.
Yeah, but then just have to win two tomorrow. So it looks to me like US have to do a lot. But at some point today, we'll have a better idea of whether or not the US can come back. But the singles match play does give everybody a chance
Yeah.
to win on the final day. So we will keep you updated with the golf. If the games are finished before we finish at 11, we will give you the update. Hello? You're losing me, Manali, or you can hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Okay, feel like maybe it's my headphones because sometimes like I'm not hearing anything. You're listening to Love Bay Afrobeats Music Talk Radio, and Manali, I'm gonna switch up things a bit different to how I send it to you because I want to get into the cricket first, and we'll talk about the women's rugby because it hasn't started yet. But we'll talk about the ICC World Cup, upcoming ICC Cricket World Cup, and the women's division. 50 over version, is it right? That's correct, right?
That is correct.
And the number of teams and why there are not more teams playing in this tournament.
Um, yeah, that's a good question, actually. So I know they're talking about putting in more teams in the T20 World Cup. They haven't
Hmm.
quite um, gotten into the 50 over. And I suppose it's pretty similar for the men's as well. They're a bit more hesitant in the longer format of the game. Um, I know they've decided to increase the number of teams for the T20 World Cup, which is going to be played next year. But the warm ups have started, and the warm ups
Hmm.
have been pretty interesting to see, especially because we saw a pretty exciting series between India and Australia just wrap up as well. And you look at the Indian warm up squads, and they've taken out a lot of their key players. Smriti Mandana has been given a rest.
Hmm.
Harmanpreet Kaur's been given a rest as well. Taking on New Zealand this morning, and they're okay to experiment right now, which is good signs because they know they can still rely on their main core players, and the chances of them picking up this trophy are pretty high given that they've got home ground advantage. It's being played in India. The really interesting part for me has been the fact that the international teams, and this is coming, straight from the likes of Nat Silverbrunt saying, if India win this World Cup, it's going to be monumental for women's cricket. And
Hmm.
I've always been a firm believer of that as well, because we've started to see the amount of funding, the amount of growth that women's cricket's getting once the Women's Premier League started, once the BCCI has gotten into it. If India can pull off a World Cup win, there's no telling just how much push women's cricket's going to start getting from the BCCI. And that's typically where the money comes in from. That's typically where the growth comes in from, the push comes in from. So I'm sure, as an international team, you're going to the World Cup, you want to win, but you also know for the long-term aspect of the women's game, you need India to win a World Cup.
It's so true, and so much depends on what India does, and it's the other countries probably think like why India, but that's just the reality of things, right? That India has to win, and just going back to something you said, now that I understand because when I saw the scores with England, I'm like, isn't this the same team that just played Australia? And I saw the warm up matches, and they only scored 187, chasing 340 against England, so. Now I understand why the scores were that. They didn't play most of the main players and they're
Yes.
resting a few players.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's gonna, as you said, it's gonna be monumental. You're gonna see the growth. If India wins, you're gonna see the growth of women's
Yeah.
cricket. Not just it's gonna be so much different. And it's already growing faster than I
Yeah.
expected, women's cricket. And I think if the World Cup, but I would definitely like to see more teams. Maybe I'm being biased because West Indies are not there, but I'd definitely like to see all of the full nations playing in the World Cup. I don't think the full nation should have to be playing in a playoff to get to the
Yeah,
World Cup. I think they should
it's a
automatically
bit
be
tough,
there.
isn't it? Because the West Indies now, both men and women, have lost out on World Cups, and it's all based on that points table. It's all based on number of wins, and in a way, I agree with you. I don't think the full members should have to go through qualification process. But then at the same time, when you look at the performance that the West Indies women's team has put out, taking them as an example, and not being able to
Hmm.
qualify against the associate countries, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? And it's not been one bad tournament. It's been a
Yeah,
few. It leads up to the performance
a
that
few of
they've
them.
had.
That's true. They have had some poor performances, definitely for sure. But yeah, I think I would advocate for more teams
Yeah.
in the World Cup. Both I know T20 is a way that they're pushing for
Hmm.
more teams, which is great. But I believe in the 50 over, then they should, because if not, then I believe you're gonna see 50 over cricket probably die as well, because the ladies are gonna say, "What's
Yeah.
the point playing?" But then just focus on T20. They're not going to be playing 50 overs. So that's what you're going to see happen. And I think I can see ICC's point where they want to grow the game by having more T20 cricket. But and that's how the associate countries want to do as well. If you saw some of the qualifiers that we've seen, the associate countries are
Hmm.
quite happy just playing for 20 overs. And even at the junior level, they're happy just
What
playing
and
20
I
overs.
was thinking about that as well, isn't it? Because when we go through our qualifiers, we go through the T20 format for our qualifiers. And I'm talking about the women's games
Hmm.
specifically. But then the winner of that T20 qualifier not only goes on to the globals for the T20s, but they also go on to the globals for the 50 over.
Hmm.
So it's not really an accurate
Yeah.
representation of the format that you're qualifying in to go on to represent in both formats.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not. I, and I always wondered about that too, and like how you do get a 50 over ODI status from playing T20, and but that's the and even for the women, the other thing that I hope that they get to eventually, if you're trying to grow the game, instead of going on to a global qualifier, just do like the men. We talk about equality just by
Yes.
region. You qualify by region, so. I think whether they want to give the stronger regions two teams or whatever they want to do, but instead of ICC talk about money all the time, so just the
You know,
regionals and
and
you'll be
on
fine.
that note, I think the men have had so much success with the League Two. The Cricket World Cup League Two, they're playing a lot of games, they're playing all over the
Mhm.
world. It would be fantastic to have something like that for the women. And I'm not talking full member level, I'm talking the associate level. Yet there's a bigger gap in the development, and I'm aware of that, but I feel like if they had a level similar to that, we would see cricket grow a lot
Mhm.
quicker in the associate nations.
I think so because even just for here in Canada as an example, I mean, I saw this year that Ontario tried to do. I don't know about the other provinces, but I can
Hmm.
talk about Ontario. I saw that they tried to introduce a couple of other tournaments during the weekend on Fridays and stuff, and you can see the numbers are growing. But if the women don't get a chance to play, so I think you're correct. They need to have something similar to that. Whether you want to do it for the T20, I don't think we played enough T20 cricket
Hmm.
on the women's side, on
Hmm.
either side, because most of the associate countries wait for an
Yeah,
ICC tournament and don't play enough bilaterals. And maybe one of the other things is that they don't have
yeah.
enough funding to play the bilateral. So they look forward just to the ICC tournaments. Because, I mean, the country's getting 25, 30,000 a year. How can you travel? So,
And that's the challenge too, isn't
so
it? It's the financial aspect, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know if it's happened before outside. I can't, you would probably have a better idea, but the Canadian women traveling to Uganda and Tanzania later
Mhm.
in October. I don't know if there's been any bilaterals prior to this outside of a USA, um, Canada RT Cup, or maybe I don't even know if there's been a
It
women's
hasn't.
RT Cup.
Oh,
I don't think right. So outside of the US, outside of the Americas Championships, I don't think there's been a lot of
mhm.
bilaterals with women.
Yeah, and
There might have been something in Brazil, I think, once, but that was a South
I
American
think
Championship.
once the ICC decided to pull the Americas out of the qualifiers for a few years, a lot of that fell apart because back in the day we played a lot of bilaterals. It wasn't against the West Indies, but we did play them against Trinidad and Tobago, and that helped
Hmm.
get a regular number of games. And whether it was Trinidad coming here, whether it was us going there, the US has done that quite a bit, haven't they? But they had
Yeah,
ODI status, so they were in a different funding bracket until they lost it.
yeah, they did, and the U.S. in another set of trouble right now too.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, they've been suspended, and yeah, but yes, I think yeah, a lot has to be done for the game in the region, and maybe something look like the Asia Cup. I always think there should be a North
Yep.
American Cup. And some reason it's not happening. If you speak to the people who've been at ICC for a long time in the associates world, they tell you that they've tried this before, and ICC always shut it down in North America. I don't know why, because they allow it in Asia. Maybe
Yeah.
they can't do anything because of India
Yeah.
and those countries, but it should be allowed in this region as well. So the women's game, the World Cup, you can see just looking at the World Cup that there's a lot that's going to be happening, and I think the World Cup should show that uh, there is a need for the growth
Hmm.
of women's cricket.
Absolutely. And it is growing. You look at following, you look at viewership, you look at the stands. The sport's
Hmm.
growing. We just need
It
India to
definitely
win a
is.
World Cup in the women's game, and that should change things. That'll bring in,
So, if
yeah.
so Australia beat them. It's not a good sign.
Well, it's such a difficult one, isn't it? Because you want to win, but
They've
at the
been,
same time,
you
for
want
the
to win.
long-term growth of women's cricket, India has to win a World Cup. They have to.
Yes, yes, for sure. So, who's your favorite? Who do you pick for
It
the
has
World
to
Cup?
be South Africa, right? It's always an African
South
team. It
Africa.
has to be, and
Mm,
they've played some really worrying cricket against Pakistan in the series leading up to it. They have looked
yes, they
they've
did
looked
play. Yeah.
out of sorts. They've looked out of
Hmm.
form, and that's not good signs going into a World Cup at all.
Even today they were playing a warm up or yesterday,
It's,
was it? And it
yeah.
was rained out. But they were 45 for three. It wasn't looking good at the
Yes,
time.
and it's that top order, unfortunately, at the moment that's just so out of form for them. And yeah, Laura Wolvart, who is hands down one of their top players, she went for a duck. Tasman Britt's 19. Um, it, that top order isn't giving them anything right now. It's good to see Marizan Cap back in the squad. I know she's been in and out. I think just maybe balancing workload. She hasn't played as many series as she typically does. Um, yeah, they need to pull this thing pretty quickly because they're in a World Cup right now, and it's not a positive start leading into it.
No, it's not. And some of the players are saying they got to, just as you said, they got to pull it together, and they have to decide what they want to do and fight for
Yeah.
the country. So it's not a good sign for sure for them. But we'll keep an eye on the World Cup. I'm going to watch it very closely, hoping to see what happens. I'm going with Australia, but India, you said if it's best for cricket for India to win, could yeah, it'd be good for them if they win. But I think Australia right now are probably my favorites to win.
It's a pretty tough one, isn't it? It's hard to deviate from Australia when we're looking at wins. They do it so consistently and they dominate too. It's not close calls. They're well and truly on top of most of their wins.
They are definitely for sure. So you will update us. I'm sure you'll watch more of it than I will, and keep us up to date on that. So you're listening to Love Bay Afrobeats Music Talk Radio to the Sports Hour with Ingle and Manali. Manali, we just want to switch a bit and get into the CPL finals that happened and finished. A bit of a disappointing finals to me. I don't know if it's the pitch. I don't know if the players. I don't know what it was. I was looking for a more exciting game. I don't know if they were nervous or whatever, but 133. Although in the end, 133 was a look. 130 looked a bit tough at times for Trinidad and Tobago, but they got there. You knew that they were going to get there at some point. The Guyana Amazon Warriors, I can again be called the chokers, or but they get to still seven finals and you've won only one. It's amazing.
They just didn't have enough runs
And
on the board, did they?
no, they didn't. This from the start they just went wrong. And you know, Ian Bishop kept saying throughout the tournament that Samson, although he won the emerging player, which is good, or the right, whatever West Indies call it, I'm not sure that they call it. Uh, he won that, but Ian Bishop kept saying he hasn't been tested with short
Yes.
balls. And the way the field was set, you know that was the plan from Trinidad. Who puts in a
In a
short leg
T20
in
game, that
T20?
early in a game.
That early, yeah. So you knew that was the plan. That and the person bowling the short ball, it wasn't even
Yeah,
the quickest ball
yeah.
as Russell. So it was just a plan that worked, and it worked well for them to get him out. And Shea Hope, I mean, he just didn't look himself. 12 and
Right.
19 was, and throughout the season, Guyana has relied on him so much. Moeen Ali, I think he's been the Hetmeyer, a bit of a
Mhm,
disappointment throughout the
mhm.
whole season. And Pretorius has done well, I think. He's had a good season, and he's come in and always helped. And I thought at one stage, I thought maybe Shepard could have come earlier, but yeah, I think Guyana 130. But the pitch seemed to be, it looked good when you saw it on camera. It looked like a batting strip, but it was turning
Yeah,
from early.
there was definitely a lot of turn
And
on it.
yeah, it was a lot of turn. And I thought that, I don't know why it's done it so much, but I think Trinidad enjoyed it. We had good to see Ned Travalcar, the U.S. fast bowler. He saw him in the World Cup, and after the World Cup, the way they were
Mhm.
talking about him, you thought he would get an IPL call
Right.
up or something, which he didn't. But he was lucky to get a CPL later on. For I think someone was injured. Could have been Ali Khan that may have been injured,
He did.
and he got into it, and he had 3 for 25. And he bowled well in the games that I saw him play. A couple of games that he played, and Akil Hussain always pretty good. And you can tell from the way that they set up that they had a different
Yes.
plan for Guyana because Akil Hussein normally starts the bowling, but they started with Narayan and Kyron Pollard, which was a bit surprising.
I think they had a really good plan going into this game, and it started with that first wicket, didn't it? That first wicket was
It did,
set up
yeah.
so perfectly, and Samson, he should have seen that he had a short leg. He should have seen the ball that was coming, and he played right into the
Hmm.
hands of it. Also, slightly worrying
Yeah,
as a
they did.
youngster because you've clearly been picked. You've been picked apart, and your weakness is now pretty obvious with the short ball. But
Hmm.
Netravalkar for me was very impressive to come in to be able to pick up 3 wickets and to bowl as economically as he did. They found him very challenging to score runs off of, and that's
Yes.
really good signs, not just for him, but also for the U.S. team. When you've got a player in your side that can bowl at that level and to hold their own, it's very positive signs for them.
I was looking at the game and I look at him play and at the game, and that's where I think cricket is so mental because he's so good against some
Hmm.
of these top players, but every time he plays against Canada, he
Yeah.
never bowls well. So I think it's just maybe he's over trying or something,
Or
overthinking
maybe
it.
he's taking it too
But
lightly.
or maybe maybe, but maybe he's taking it too lightly. Yeah, but he's never bowled really well against Canada that I've seen. So, but he's very good against
Yeah,
these other countries and these other teams. So he's done a good job, and I believe he'll get a call back
yeah,
next year for sure. If not, Trinidad and Tobago Knight Riders definitely one of the teams
yeah.
will grab him up in the. If he's not retained by then one of the teams
Hmm.
will grab him up. When you look at the batting for Trinidad, I mean, again, they had a good start, and the good thing for them is Alex Sale. He batted slowly, but he batted the type of innings
Hmm.
that was needed because he at 26 and 34, not something you expect in T20 cricket. But Colin Munro was out to a flyer, then he got out. Then Nicholas
Hmm.
Buran, he just didn't look
Yeah.
himself. He got one off on nine. And I still don't understand how Bravo is in the team this day and age, but is he taking a youngster's spot by for some? I don't see Bravo being the person to be coming in at number four in a team like Trinidad and Tobago, but we know how
We had
franchise
this
cricket
conversation
goes.
at home actually. We spoke about his inclusion
Okay,
in the team, in the squad in general, and
yeah,
well, yeah, like you said, we know how franchise cricket works, isn't it?
yeah. It's a shame to see Bravo at four and a guy like
Hmm.
Casey Carty, who's West Indian player,
Hmm.
coming in at number eight. It's sad to see that, and but there's been stories, as you said, it's franchise cricket. It's sometimes it's who you know, who are your friends, who you
Yeah,
party with, you know, who you're going golf
who
with
the
at the
coach
end of
is,
the day.
maybe. I don't
So one of the coaches, yes, it helps
know.
depend on who the coach is, yeah. But I mean, Bravo to me is one of the players that disappointed. I mean, I don't know what happened to him after that when he left West Indies
Yeah,
in the New Zealand series, and after that his cricket just went downhill. But he was extremely talented, and I was expecting a lot from him. But he just didn't
hmm,
blossom after that. I mean, again, there are some real different stories, but who knows? But I think looking at the bowling for Guyana, I thought they missed the trick here and there because I thought that Shamar Joseph coming on after 12
yes.
overs when they needed a run a ball,
And he
it didn't
bowled
make sense
so
to me.
well when he was finally given the ball.
He did.
I, I mean,
He did.
yeah, it was very shocking that he got the ball as late as he did. But they also didn't start on the right foot, did they, with Romario Shepherd? That was a
Yes, they
never-ending over
didn't.
for him. Just went on and on. 22 runs came off of it. And that, unfortunately, when you're
Yeah,
defending a low total with just 130 runs on the board, you can't have that sort of start. It's not the sort of positive start that you want to give your team. And I know I had messaged this to you, but I had wondered if there was an impact with that halftime show on the players at all because it was a very long halftime show.
I think, you know what? I think so. I really think it was very long. I
Yeah.
think the players were distracted. They were looking at the show and stuff. I believe they'll have that's something that has to be thought over because it could be
Yeah.
after the game. I mean, a small halftime show, yes, but that halftime show was really,
Yes, it
really long,
wasn't
and it
short.
definitely no. And I think it, as yeah, you messaged me and said that yeah, it definitely had an impact on the players. So it's something that the organizers have to look at in the future. I mean, it's fun,
Yeah.
it's good, and you get the fans in, as it's labeled, the
Hmm.
biggest party in sport. But you don't want that sometimes when players are trying to win and focus on a
Hmm.
game. So yeah, it was definitely a distraction in my opinion. So something for the organizers to look for in the future. But yeah, Trinidad and Tobago, and champion again. Dwayne Bravo, another champion. Karen Pollard, he's gone ahead of Dwayne
Hmm.
Bravo uh, in terms of championships in franchise cricket. Um,
This,
and I think he had he had a few words to say too, and
yes.
it wasn't. I
I
think
actually wanted to ask you what he was referring. At first, I thought, in my opinion, that he was referring to the rivalry between the Trinidad Guyana and the Guyanese crowd. But then he kind of brought in the
Mhm.
whole West Indies aspect, and I didn't really know what he meant by laughing
No, he
stock
did.
of the world. I don't know if you really was he referring to
I think he's probably.
him or the
I
West
think
Indies
he's.
or Trinidad? What was he referring to?
I think he was referring to West Indies being the laughing
Yeah.
stock of the world, and that they are booing the players and stuff was done so much for
Hmm.
West Indies. I think that's what he's trying to say, but I don't think that was necessary there.
Yeah.
And we know that the rivalry between Guyana and thing, but then to bring West Indies in and to bring these kind of things into the cricket, but Pollard, you'll expect anything from him. So maybe he's still bitter. Maybe he still wanted to play. I don't know,
Well,
but
wasn't he the one
just
who stepped
something
away?
that did. He did. He stepped away. But that's why I think I can't understand why these players are so bitter that you've represented the
Yeah.
country for so long and then you come there and you have so much
Yeah.
negative things to say instead of trying to
Yeah.
build up the youngsters and whoever. I mean, take some time and okay, West Indies cricket cannot be built
Hmm.
at the top. So build the Trinidad players. Trinidad team is not the greatest team at the moment. This is a
Yeah.
franchise team. It's not
Yes.
Trinidad. So these are the kind of things that they need to go and do. And it just sometimes bothers me to hear these young guys talk like this because the youngsters listen to it and they just run with it. So and they find it amazing. But anyway, Trinidad and Tobago, 5 times champions. Jamaica Tal was 3, Barbados 2, Guyana Amazon once. So St. Kitts won once is also. So it is now finished in Guyana, Manali, and it's moved to Barbados. So make plans for Barbados next year. They've had they're asking people to come. St. Lucia Kings, they will kill me if I don't remind them. They were the defending champions. They won once also. Yeah. So yeah, make plans for Barbados, and next year I think I've never been to a CPL final. I was talking to some of my friends. They said they're gonna go. I don't know why they want to choose to go to Barbados instead of Guyana because Barbados is so expensive, but they're saying let's plan for
I guess they
Barbados.
got to
So
share it around
I'll
too,
try.
don't they? From a fan perspective and fan
Yes,
experience.
Guyana did. Yeah, Guyana, and it's gonna be packed the same way because the Guyanese and the
Probably.
Trinidadians, whoever, they're gonna fly over. Yeah, it's just a flight
Yeah.
over. So congratulations to Trinidad, Tobago, CPL winners, and good luck with them in the future. I'm sure some of the players are going to be retiring after this. I mean, Andrew Russell got injured, it looked like, when it's last over at the
Yeah.
World.
Kind of limped off there a bit,
And
didn't he?
yeah, he did. And some of the players, they'll still play, I'm sure, because it's CPL and they want to play. But I would like to see more West Indian players playing a more prominent role in these teams. Because if you look at the top order batting of
Hmm.
most of the teams, they're
Yes.
foreigners. If you look at this IPL and the PSL in those leagues, you
Yeah.
don't see that happening. It's supposed to be able to build
Yeah.
your players, but
Well, even on the bowling
I
front, if you
guess
look at this, there's the second innings, you look at the bowling front, it's the South African who's picked up 2 wickets,
yes,
Moeen Ali coming in from England, Imran Tahir, South Africa. So it's their three main bowlers are all internationals. And it sucks when you got someone like
definitely.
Shamar Joseph on your side and you don't bring him on. And you could see the camera panned to him at one point and he was perplexed.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Should have been there. So that's it for the CPL. And now tomorrow we have one of the biggest events, Asia Cup. Exactly what the fans wanted. No shake, no hands shaking,
You
but
know,
still, what the
I
fans wanted.
I think it's gonna be another don't want to get into anything political, but I think it's gonna be another dud of a game.
I think so too. I mean, looking at how Pakistan got there, they were
Hmm.
lucky. I think Bangladesh
Hmm.
gave it to them. Bangladesh should have been in the finals, but it's going to be if Pakistan can have one of their days that Pakistan is the type of team that they will be playing crap and then somehow
Yeah.
turn it around and have a great day. If they can have one of those days, then it'll be a good game. But if not, I don't think they've ever beaten India in a major
No, and their
championship.
number 3 bat has scored 4 ducks in a row. Saimayu.
At least.
you know,
Yes, but he
and
still
he's still in
plays.
it. Four ducks in a row is they haven't found runs from their batters. There hasn't been much to talk about in this side whatsoever. And what is this, the third time we're seeing India Pakistan in this series now in the Asia Cup?
Yeah,
And
yeah, the third
yeah,
time.
and
Yeah.
the first two times were one-sided games. It's not like you
Hmm.
I mean, sure, on the given day anything can really happen, and if Pakistan decides to have a really good day, it can happen. But for India to not be able to pull this off, a lot of things would have to go wrong.
Correct.
Because there's
Yeah, the first two
yeah.
games was very one-sided, and then yeah, a lot will happen. I mean, just for the sake of cricket, I'd like to see a good game
But
tomorrow.
yesterday was a good game too,
And
wasn't it, against Sri Lanka?
it was, yes, Sri Lanka. Yes, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka won, got to they lost on the
Yes.
super over, and then someone has I saw one of the Sri Lankan fans says, "Oh, the real Sri Lanka showed up in the super over." So it's just you can't please anyone.
And they
So
only scored
I just
202 runs, but none of that
that
matters.
scored 200. No, that didn't matter. I mean, they're not getting the accolades or saying well done for the way they played 100 by Nisaka. Um, well played 100 by him. They're not talking about that.
No,
Keshav Pura
no,
58, and they did well.
they did
I
well.
just want to know the super over they
Yeah.
messed up. Yeah,
But I'm just
but
looking at
yeah, they
this.
lost. Don't lose. I guess losing 2 wickets for
Yeah.
Duck. I mean, in super over. I mean, it happened. I mean, and Ashdeep got both wickets,
Yeah.
if I recall, right? But he was, yeah, he bowled a super over Ashdeep, yeah. So, yeah, it's not often that you see 2 wickets fall in a super
No.
over, but it did.
I'm just looking at this Indian batting lineup, and Abhishek Sharma has been in great form. Even if he and Shubman Gill were to
Mhm.
not score runs tomorrow, Surya Kumar Yadav struggled for runs this whole Asia Cup, and I don't know if it's a
Mhm.
captaincy thing or not,
Yeah,
but he just hasn't clicked. Tomorrow might be his day,
that's the
but
thing.
you've got batting in Tilak Verma and Sanju Samson, Hardik Pandya, Akshar Patel.
Samson,
There's so
Adipanda,
much
yeah.
batting in that squad, and there would have to be so many things to go wrong for India to not win tomorrow.
Do you think they're gonna use Bumrah tomorrow
I
instead
think
of
they're going to
rest?
use him. I,
Because he's I don't know if he's there. Right. I know they said he's in test squad,
mhm.
so I don't know if he flew back home. But they don't believe he will start the first test against West Indies on the second. So he could be there. They probably will use him tomorrow because I think they're going to want to send a
Yes.
statement to Pakistan.
Yes, and it's a final. You just want your best. You want your top players in there. And the West Indies series really isn't one that I see India stressing over. And given the brand of cricket that the West Indies is playing right now, I don't think they're going to need Bumrah to play all of the games. I don't think they need him to play at all, actually.
No, I don't think so.
Um,
Yes. And just as we talked about West Indies and that series that Shama Shama Joseph has been ruled out.
yes.
So yeah, Joan Lane has replaced him, and he's it's a big blow for the West
It is.
Indies. Yeah, so um, I think I don't know. I'm shocked though because he looked fit and ready when he played it. So what happened in travel? Wow. Yeah, I just wondered, you know, um, why? What did they have a practice and he was injured because there was not a lot. They didn't say a lot about
Yeah.
what happened
Yeah.
to him. They just said they replaced him. So things like that, you wonder what it is. But yeah, West Indies are not. To me, I don't think they have much of a chance. But of course, Sammy said they have a chance. He
Please.
has to say
The coach
that.
has to believe.
What else is he going to say? Yeah, yes.
They're playing Nepal right now, though. That
Yeah,
game started.
yes.
Nepal is two down, 20 for two after 4.4.
Not, not much of a surprise there. Yes, West Indies and Nepal. That I was actually saying Nepal may give them a tough time
Mhm.
because of the team that West Indies have there, but if these youngsters can do well against Nepal, it'd be
Yeah.
great. So I think Akil is saying he'll probably want to prove something because he's the
Yeah.
captain, and I'm not sure the final 11 that the playing 11 that they have West Indies. Well, they have guys like Kyle Mayers in there, so they have some decent batting for sure. Kyle Mayers got August Casey Carter, Django has
Mhm.
played well with, but probably should have been in the West Indies team. But Joel Andrew, I don't believe he should be playing a lot of
Mhm.
T20, but they're allowing him to. But that's what it is. I think he should be focusing more on longer version. I don't think he understands how to bat as yet, but we'll see how he progress. We've got about 6 minutes left, Manali, and anything else you wanted to talk about cricket? Any updates before we chat a bit about the World Cup rugby starting in 7 minutes time? Actually, 6 minutes time.
No, I think we've wrapped up cricket pretty well. Most of the major tournaments. Super 60 Canada is about to ramp up soon as well.
Oh yes,
It's coming up
yes. I
pretty
wanted to
quickly.
say something about the women's trophy has been named after Mel
Hmm.
Jones, and she's not going to be here. She just can't make it, but that's she gave a message, and she was quite excited by that. And yeah, I think it's going to be some exciting cricket. It's the promotions. You can see all of the star guys who are going to performers are going to be part of it.
I did have a question for
So
you about that
it's
actually. Maybe you could shed some light on
mhm.
this because it is an Astro field, correct? AstroTurf?
They're putting in grass
Oh, is
actually
it
because remember next year for the yeah the for the World Cup they need grass soccer, so it's grass with a drop-in
with a
pitch.
drop-in pitch? Okay. And
Yes,
it is a
I haven't seen
rectangle.
it yet, but it is small on the straight but wide on the and it's
Oh, so
big
they've gone
on
this
the
way
yes. So it's
instead
the
of
other way. Yes, they've gone
okay,
the other way.
okay.
Yes,
So the square
yeah.
boundaries are
So it's
still
gonna be
are still pretty decent. Okay.
right. The square ones are pretty decent size, and straight ones are, but they'll take a few chairs out and stuff here and there, but it's still, I mean, gonna be short
You're in the firing
compared
line.
to yes, definitely.
Which is as
Yeah,
fans though that really
um,
engages you too, doesn't it? Just being very
it's
close to
fun,
the
yeah, and
action.
the good thing it is, and then we're going to the playing conditions and we're talking about lost overs and stuff, and then you realize there's no
Yeah,
need for that because the roof will be
yeah.
closed. So the thing we're discussing right now is whether or not to give extra point. I mean, do we call a dead ball for ball hitting the roof,
Mm.
or do you keep it in play to make it more exciting? So those are the things that we are
So you could
trying
get
to
out if it
discuss.
hits the roof and comes straight down.
If a player is skillful
Yeah.
enough to catch it, yes. That's one of the things that we're thinking of, just to get some
Yeah.
excitement into the game instead of as soon as it hits the roof, because it's a possibility a top edge can hit the roof or the
Yeah.
columns at the roof and make it a dead ball that makes it easy
Yeah.
for the player. So for the batter, yeah. So we'll finalize that in a couple of days, and hopefully there will be some exciting cricket. We'll just move on to the rugby in the last few minutes that we have. It says world number one versus world number two. The best team versus the best team this month. So is Canada the best team this month? And expecting 82,000, is it?
Yeah, record numbers. 82,000, I believe.
Wow.
Um,
Was the last time they played Canada? Was
the
84?
final is expected to draw a record crowd of 82,000 tickets, which have been sold. So it's a complete sellout, making it the largest
It's a couple.
attendance
Mhm.
in every women's rugby match so far. But the thing that really stood out to me when I was looking into this was how Canada's actually gotten to this final. And we were talking about funding in
Mhm.
women's cricket, especially at the associate level. But it doesn't change when it comes to rugby for the Canadians, at least. So the Canadian women have had to rely heavily on crowdfunding to be able to actually get to this World Cup and to keep them semi-professional.
Well,
So for a team to be able to get into a World Cup final and with very little support in terms of funding from their national organization and their country, it speaks volumes for Canada.
but there's a big discussion going on now with the government about overall funding of sports, especially
Hmm.
summer sports. They're not funding is not the best thing that they and the athletes. We spoke a bit about that last week, and yeah, the athletes are not being helped enough. And as you said, for them to get to this level by having crowdfunding and not a lot of government, I would. Well, the good thing is the Prime Minister Carney is there. He's
Yeah.
going to be at the game, and hopefully, Canada can win, and then even if they don't win, just get into the finals. They should
It
realize
is
how sport. I don't think politicians understand how much sports
no, and
does
you
for
know
the
what?
country.
Just just Mark Carney's trip alone to the finals would have cost more
Mhm.
than the entire team and the crowdfunding that they would have needed to get to the World Cup. And
To
that
get to the World Cup.
is a mind
And
blowing figure.
it is. And the other thing, I just wondered to like, the politicians, they always get there at the
Hmm.
finals. They want to be there, make sure they get the photo ops, then they do their betting against each other. A little fun. Yeah, but yeah, they can't just do that for the photo ops and not
Hmm.
fund the athletes. It's really not a good thing. There's just too many bad stories about athletes. If
Yeah.
you're not at the top, then you're
Yeah.
not getting anything. And the one thing I noticed, I was just curious as to why we had from semifinals why it takes a week. Is it a recovery training? What is it? Why does it take a week after to play the finals? Or have they done some research to say it's best to play on a Saturday?
It is something I was wondering myself as well because I was like, okay, so when is the final? Because we spoke about this last week and it's a whole week
Hmm.
later. I'm not really sure what the wait is for, but rugby's a very physically draining game, isn't it? It's
It is. Yes, it
physically,
is.
it takes so much out of you. So maybe the week is just to get all the bruises to go before you're back at it again.
Probably. Yeah. As we're talking about the funding, it says England is the best funded women's rugby team on
Going
earth.
going up
They
against a
have
team that was
32,
crowdfunded.
yeah, they have 32 players on full-time
Wow.
contracts. The highest earners in the squad reportedly nearly £50,000 a year, with bonuses for victories and titles on top and cutting edge. So they are the fifth. I mean, 32 players on full-time contract. That's, I mean, if Canada wins, that's a real big
Yes.
story. You know.
Yes, absolutely. We certainly hope that they do. We could.
And if the on the other hand, the Canadians chief executive said if the women's players did everything this calendar year, that could expect they could expect to earn 12,000 Canadian dollars from the national fund. That's it.
That's a shame, isn't it?
It is a shame.
It's a full-time job that these athletes are putting in. It's actually more than a full-time job if you consider the number of hours you train, the number of hours that you focus on your rehab, your recuperation. It's wow.
It, it is a big difference. Yeah, they've got like 28.7 million between Canada gets 4.5 million pounds, whereas England gets 24.2 million per year. It is really really sad. But anyway, let's hope we can. As I said, David versus Goliath. let's let's hope that Canada can win and fully 100% ban Canada. Will I guess kickoff would be
Hmm.
started. So and we just almost about end of our time. So, if there's anything else you want to say to wrap up before we wrap up in the next minute or
No,
so?
all good. A lot to look forward to. And a lot of results that we'll have updates on for next week as well.
Definitely. Definitely have a lot of results, and I hope that we will be celebrating. If Canada wins, I guess, do they celebrate? Is the headquarters in Ottawa or I don't know, in Ontario? Where's gonna be? Where the
Yeah,
party's gonna be? In every province, we'll have to, because you know how the provinces are. If one have a party
yeah.
and at the other, so they'll have to do a Canada-wide trophy tour for sure. And look forward to that. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us. Whatever you do for the rest of your weekend,